I think that buildings have a language that they speak to the community of which they're a part. And I think that Mayfair Church was designed to say certain things. The congregation was quite clear when they decided to build a new building that it had to look like a church. We'd been on a variety of excursions around some of the newer churches in the community, and some of them, quite frankly, looked like a warehouse with a cross on the top. And some of the others were like a black hole until you got in and turned on the lights. And that just didn't register with the people of Mayfair. One of the other things that was really important to them is that they be a part of this community of which they've been a part for a long time. We could have sold the property after the loss of the former building and taken it out close to the freeway or something, and everybody would have driven to church. But without their cars, there would be no congregation. This church is built in a community, and one of the reasons that we thought it was important is that just prior to the building of our building, the Mayfair Hall was lost. They no longer could function, and eventually what happened is that the city built the library there, which was a good thing. But they didn't have that large meeting space, which was the Mayfair Hall. So they thought that that was one of the things that we as a congregation could contribute to the community. So it's very much community orientated, and it's on a very busy street. So it seemed necessary to move the building to the back of the property so that people could get off busy 33rd and find a space, but also realizing that it was important that we be a part of that busy street, that we're in the center of a very busy, thriving community. If you look at the church from the outside, it's like as though it's welcoming you, like it's like as though there are two arms holding out in welcome. I don't know whether that was a deliberate design or whether it was just a good accident, but it's very welcoming from that point of view. From the outside, the first thing you notice is probably the very large cross, which is on top of the building. The former building had a very tall tower, a steel tower with a cross on the top of it. And many people told us stories about how they could see that from St. Paul's Hospital, for instance, and found that a very reassuring and comforting kind of symbol when they were in medical distress. So it's been very much a part of the community. It's very much a church. When you enter the building, it again is very obvious that you are in a place of worship. The large cross at the front of the church is the first thing you see when you come in the door. That's a deliberate design. The lighting in the church is great, I think. We've got large windows, and so there's a lot of natural light comes into the building. A few years after the church was built, some people thought they would like to have stained glass windows in the building. And so a design was developed by a professional artist, a stained glass worker, and the little jewels at the top of the windows were installed. And I think they're really lovely. But the congregation decided they didn't want to go any further with that because they wanted that natural light. They liked to be able to see outside. There are trees just outside of the building. And there's even a telephone pole out there, and I think people thought it was even a good thing that we were able to see that we weren't isolated from the community, and that spoke to them as well. One of the other design objects of the church was the shape of the sanctuary. It is shaped in a semicircle. Most churches are built with long hall kind of structures with pews that go straight across and you look at the back of somebody else's head. It's not true in Mayfair Church. The semicircular arrangement of it is a much friendlier kind of arrangement. And you can look at the back of the head of the person in front of it, but you can also see people around you. And that's a very inclusive kind of thing. So it was very much a church building, but very much a part of this community. And it has a nice, clean, modern look to it. The building was built totally with the insurance money from the former building, which was destroyed by fire. When we look at this campaign and the amount of money we're trying to raise, a lot of people will and have said that, oh, you know, we can never accomplish this. It's just far too much. We can't afford that. I remember a financial advisor I heard a number of years ago, and he was telling me that you have to pay yourself first. And he says you put aside something for your future every day or every month or however your finances. He says for you to think ahead and think of the amount of money you might need when you retire or whatever would be an insurmountable obstacle. But if you pay it a little bit at a time, you'll be amazed at the amount of money which is accumulated. This campaign of ours, I believe, is the same sort of thing. I personally live on a pension, like most of the people in the congregation do. And most of us will say, well, we can't give a whole bunch of money. We just don't have it. But we can give a little bit of money quite often. And I think if people have that attitude towards this campaign, that it would be very helpful, and they'd be surprised at the amount of money which they have contributed and the community has contributed as well. I encourage people to consider Mayfair Church as a church home, a place where their faith would be nurtured, where their spirits will be revitalized, and where they will either make or meet again and again and again with a large circle of friends. So it's a great place, and it's a great looking place too.